Nick here, and welcome to this episode of the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce XL full review. Let's kick this off with a hardware tour. On the front of the device, you're going to find yourself a 5.5-inch 1280 by 720 HD display, which is quite a bit reflective in sunlight. Going off to the back, you're going to find yourself a subtle gold design, which is plastic but looks pretty sleek and clean. To the bottom, you're going to find the Alcatel Onetouch branding, which is a pretty nice placement. And at the top of the device, you're going to find yourself an 8-megapixel camera as well as an LED flash and a speaker grill to the left. At the top of the device, you're going to find yourself a mic port as well as a 3.5mm headset jack. At the bottom, you're going to find yourself a micro USB port and another mic jack at the bottom. Also, what we're going to find ourselves on the right side is the power button and volume rocker switch. Switching over to the left, you're not going to find anything there but just the curvature design. Switching over to the front of the device, you're going to find yourself a 2-megapixel front-facing camera and an earpiece right there at the top of the device. And let's now get into the build quality. The build quality of the device has been pretty solid overall. It's not too cheap feeling, and it just, it feels pretty good. Although the screen is a bit of a fingerprint magnet here, it will suffice. And overall, you can pull off the back of this device, and you're going to find yourself a 2500 milliamp hour battery, which works pretty well, and we'll talk more about battery later in this review. Also, you have a micro SD card slot up to 32 gigs and a SIM card tray right there, but everything snaps into place pretty well. Alright guys, let's talk about software on the device. So we're going to hop over into settings and show you that we are running Android version 5.1.1. So not the latest Marshmallow, but it should be a pretty good software overall. Lollipop is highly optimized for budget devices, so this is not a problem here. Let's talk about Alcatel's special features. So they got this little widget, weather widget on the home screen, but going into the device, you're going to see that we have iPhone looking icons. It's kind of themed out, to give you these curved icons, but overall it looks pretty much like stock Android. They do include a few things such as the Notes application here, Alcatel branded, although it doesn't offer much functionality, a file manager, and they theme out their gallery. So a little bit of theming, but it's pretty bare bones stock Android, although you will find in the settings gestures and things like LED indicator. But overall, not too much included, but those buttons at the bottom of the device, they don't light up very well at nighttime, so the recent back key and the home key. Let's discuss a little bit about real-world performance. This has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 210 32-bit CPU with 2 GB of RAM. That should make for pretty decent horsepower, and although it's not as fast as some of the 3 GB of RAM phones I've seen out on the market, octa-core processors, it does do the job, and it's going to get all your basic tasking done. And generally, things open pretty quickly. As you can see, the camera fired right open. And hopping into multitasking, you can see that apps are going to fire right open. You're not going to have the best performance, but it will suffice for most people. Alright guys, we can't do a review without talking about battery life, and battery life has been pretty shockingly good on the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce XL. For a 2500 milliamp hour battery, it has been pretty good here. Overall, I'm getting about 4 to 6 hours on screen time, depending on how you use the device. So no problems in terms of battery life. Let's open up that 8-megapixel camera on the rear, and you can see that this UI is dead simple. You just point and shoot. There's not really much going on here in terms of feature set. You can see you have Polaroid, you have HDR, you have a couple little features, scanner, nothing too big. And you can go over to the right and see that you have your front-facing camera. Hello there. And that's 2 megapixels on the front. And you got the flash, so everything is dead simple, but no manual controls or nothing fancy like that. But we will take this little video sample right here, but we're going to show you the actual camera samples right here when I'm done with this clip right here. So you judge for yourself what you think this camera is like. So this is a front-facing camera sample of the Alcatel Onetouch Idol Fierce XL. I'm not quite sure exactly if it's 720 or a 1080. I'll put that in the caption. But this is just to give you a little sample of the audio and the front-facing camera in the daytime, sunny day here. And this is it. Alright guys, this is the rear camera sample, video sample on the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce. I'm not on a tripod, so it's a little bit shaky, but this is the actual audio coming from the phone. That's why you notice the drop in audio from when I was just talking until now. But you can see we are at the Peter Alt Geld statue in Lincoln Park, Chicago, Illinois. It is daytime, and I don't have night shots for you, but at least you can get a little glimpse of how this video works. Now we're going to switch to the front-facing camera. In terms of call quality, I don't have the SIM card inserted, but I did test this out with another T-Mobile SIM card. Caller said I sounded fine, although this is not going to give you that deep Motorola signal and all that kind of stuff. All right, guys, let's talk about some of the negative aspects of this device. And some of the negative aspects are it's plastic. It feels pretty cheap overall. The 8-megapixel camera is only so-so on the back. And this speaker does not get very loud, although it gets okay enough, you know, to listen to content. It doesn't charge very quickly, but now we're just nitpicking. I mean, for the price you paid for this device, there's quite a bit of positives. And this screen is very reflective outside, so you better start putting your hand over the device. And this front-facing camera is not going to be your selfie champion, but that's my negatives on the device. Now let's hop over into the positives of the device, and I think this far outweighs the negatives. It does have a very sleek design, even though it is plastic, so I think you're going to enjoy the way it looks. The 8-megapixel camera is very sharp. Even though I said it's not that great, it's pretty sharp for what you pay. So we're talking about value proposition here. The curved ergonomic feel in the hand feels pretty nice. And the screen itself is pretty damn sharp for what you're gonna pay. And I would go as far as to say it's probably better than most of your budget 720p screens I've seen on most of these 720p phones, even a little bit better than the Z Maxes. It just has a better color reproduction in my opinion, although it doesn't, you know, pop out at you or nothing like that. But overall, there's a pretty good amount of positives here with the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce XL. Going into this pocket test, you can see the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce XL is a pretty big slab phone. These are dude-sized jeans, and slipping into the pocket, you can see it did slip in there, but you got to remember I'm a pretty tall dude and I got pretty big jeans, so this might not fit if you're a woman. Going into a pocket where you have stuff in there, it's going to be a stretch, so you might want to make space, but it fits in the back pocket. So overall, this is going to be a stretch though for most people's jeans. That pretty much wraps this review up on the Alcatel Onetouch Fierce XL. Now, you may be saying after all this, I'm going to get this phone or I'm not, but who's this phone for? This phone is for somebody who doesn't want to spend a lot of money, but wants a phablet Android device that's going to be pretty quick and has solid storage at 16 gigabytes with expandable memory up to 32 gigabytes, solid cameras, and really decent battery life for what you pay. I got it for $119. It goes for Metro PCS, T-Mobile, and I don't know, maybe you can get it unlocked somewhere, maybe Alcatel's website. Not sure about that. But yeah, who's it not for? Somebody who's got small hands, somebody who doesn't really, you know, like big Android phones. They like iOS or, you know, Windows possibly. And somebody who just doesn't, you know, like 720p, they like 1080p. This phone probably is not going to work out for you. And they like a metal build, not a plastic build, because this does have a plastic build. But that pretty much wraps this review up. If you guys enjoyed this review, please go ahead and be sure to leave it a thumbs up down below. It is appreciated in advance. And if you didn't like it, please go ahead and leave it a thumbs down. That's cool too. But if you do decide to leave it a thumbs down, please say why you leave it a thumbs down. Give me some constructive criticism down below in the comments. And for all the rest of you, you guys know what to do. Any comments, questions, concerns down below in the comment section. And have a great day wherever you are. I know I will. I'm out here in nature. The birds are chirping. The bees are stinging. And the squirrels are jumping. Have a great day, guys. Be well and peace.